sure I can talk myself.
Okay, cool.
Can you check camera B for me?
No, I said pop.
Why do you think it's
Absolutely not.
All right, so y'all ready? High energy. 5, 4, 3.
I know, right? I never know. Welcome back to Past Season 2. We're so excited to have you. I'm your host, Jael Benjamin, and we are here with our lovely special guest, Emily Tosta.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I mean, actress, producer, like you activist, right? Like we have to add that title because it is a part of who you are. I mean, tell us, where does this journey start?
Ooh, okay. So I was born and raised in Dominican Republic,
Okay.
and I started acting when I was there. So I had kind of like a rough upbringing and a rough childhood, and I was always trying to find an outlet to express my emotions. And acting was something that helped me with that. So when I was a little girl living in DR, I used acting as an outlet to express my creativity and to be different people and to get to know different perspectives. So that's kind of how everything started.
So what are some adjectives that people would use to describe you when you were younger?
Ooh, troublemaker. Like we're talking about my parents or my friends, because that's two different things. I would say very creative. I was always a very creative kid when I was little, and kind of quiet at times. Like I would usually keep to myself, and I would always like be buried behind a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that.
So what are you reading now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm actually rereading a book that I've read like 3 times before. It's called The Artist's Way.
Okay.
Which I actually recommend if you're a creative of any sort. It's a beautiful book, and it takes you through a journey of spirituality and creativity hand in hand, and it's amazing.
Oh my goodness. And then even being in the DR, you had spent some time in Miami.
Yeah, so when I first came to this country, I lived in Miami
Okay.
for almost 2 years before I came to LA.
Why did you pivot and come to LA? Like, what was that moment like, if you could describe it?
Yeah, so when I was in Dominican Republic, I was acting there, like I said earlier, but it was such a small industry at the time. There was just really so much you could do.
Yeah.
And I always wanted more. Like I always wanted my career to be more. I always wanted to make more of an influence. And that's when I was talking to my mom, and I was like, maybe we should move to America. And we didn't know English. We didn't, obviously didn't know the culture. We didn't know anything. Yeah. And I was 12 years old when we made the decision of wanting to move to America. So we went to Miami first because I had family there.
Got you.
But in Miami, the market is completely different. So once I was in Miami, I was thinking to myself, like, I still want more. I still want more.
Yeah.
And when I was around 15, that's when we decided to come to LA. And the story was a little bit crazy because we didn't know anybody in LA.
Okay.
And we found like a third cousin on Facebook that could have easily been a serial killer because we did not decide. We did not decide to FaceTime this person. We didn't know anybody that knew this person. So honestly, God was with us because when we hopped off the plane at LAX, and yes, I am quoting Hannah Montana right now. When we hopped off the plane at LAX, this person could have easily not been the person we thought it was. But again, God was with us, and we actually, my mom and I crashed in his library until we started making money and getting like our feet and our papers and everything. So it's definitely been a journey.
Oh my goodness, right. Yeah. Shout out to family that comes through when you need it, right?
Yeah, my mom has been my best friend, my partner in crime. Like we've been through everything together, and without her support, I literally would not be anywhere near where I am today, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she at all like surprised when you said, hey, I want to be an actress? Let's move to America. Now let's move to LA. You know, like, what were some of those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, like I said, has always been so down for anything that I wanted to do in life. And I think that's been so important for me and so pivotal, not just for me as a woman, but for me as a creative as well. Yeah. And it wasn't even that crazy because we've always dreamed so big and we've always wanted to strive for more and we've always been so sure of what we want. And my mom has always instilled in me strength and perseverance. So it's like when you have those sort of morals and values growing up, it's like still not easy to make a journey like that, but it makes it a little bit easier for sure.
Yeah. As you pause on the path and you think about, you know, what acting was like when you were younger to what acting is like now, as a teenager, to what acting is like now, what would you say are some of the major differences that pop out to you?
It's interesting because when I first started acting, I got in it because it was my passion, because it was a creative outlet, because it was something that I could do to express myself and to view life from a different perspective. But once I came to LA, it switched everything because it's a business. So I had to learn the business standpoint of it. So not only did I have to be a creative, but I also had to be a businesswoman. And being Latin, being English is not my first language, being from a completely different culture in a completely different country. And I am so accepted and feel so comfortable in my country. But then when I come to this country and I'm being put down for where I'm from, I'm being put down for being a brown girl, I'm being put down for having curves, I'm being put down for all of these things, then you think to yourself, where does my value come from? And it's a journey that you really have to go through to love yourself, to value yourself, and to respect yourself so that you can step into the shoes of being in the public eye. And I would say that that's one of the things that was the hardest for me, coming to this country and thinking to myself, like, I just want to do what I love. But wait, there's a lot more that comes with it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so in learning or keeping yourself inspired and motivated, who are some of the actresses that you look to for those inspirations, or films or people?
Yeah, Salma Hayek has always been a huge inspiration for me because she is relentless and she is who she is no matter what. And I love that. I think that's what we should all do. We should be able to step into ourselves and understand that, like, our superpower is who we are. Our identity and is our superpower, where we come from, like our culture, our roots, and that's like our superpower. And she's able to step into that a lot. And America Ferrera also does that as well. She's always representing where she's from, and I think that's a beautiful thing that we should all have.
Yeah. What are some things that you share with your character on Party of Five, Lucia Acosta? Like, or do you share anything with this particular character? Is it a different role outside of like who you are? Because I'm sure people walk up to you and they're thinking that, you know, you're exactly how they are on TV. What are some differences or similarities there?
Yeah, I actually would say that that's probably the character I've played where I feel the most similarities to.
Okay.
Because she stands for what she believes in so much consistently. She's always fighting for her causes. She's always fighting to bring justice into the world. And she also went through a journey of like trying to understand who she was and trying to navigate in this world that she was in. And I feel like that's something I can relate to, like that those points in my life in those years where I was trying to figure out my identity in this country as an immigrant. And I would say that I can relate to that of hers a lot.
Yeah. What was a place where you went to where it felt like home the most in LA? Like, what's one place you're like, when I go here, I feel like, and it may be your home.
I was just going to say, the place that feels more at home is my home. But at the same time, I think my home with my mom when she's cooking Venezuelan food, Dominican food, like when I smell that, when I'm speaking Spanish to my mom, when I have my community of incredible Latin people that I've gotten to build out here, when they come over my house and when we're playing our music, when we're dancing, like that's when I feel the most at home. When I'm really able to tap into my roots and who I am, that's when I feel the most at home.
Yeah. And I mean, even outside of being an actress, right? We said producer, we said activist, right? Meaning you stand firmly on what you believe. So what are some of the causes that you don't mind rallying behind? Like, it doesn't matter what setting you're in, this is what it is.
Yeah, so when it comes to activism, since I was little, my mom has always taught me that what I do is amazing. I'm able to perform, I'm able to be creative, I'm able to be on screen. But at the end of the day, I think what really matters is what can you do with that influence? What can you do with the platform that you're able to have? What can you do with your audience? And that's always been something that my mom and I have always thought of together. So we made a charity called Cartos International, where we help the people of Venezuela. So my mom is Venezuelan. I was born and raised in DR, but my mom is Venezuelan, so I would say like I'm kind of half and half. And I don't know if if you're familiar with what's happening there, but there's this huge like social and political crisis where people are dying every single day. There's hundreds of people dying. There's hundreds of people that don't even have access to food or water or like the basic necessities.
Yeah.
And some of those people are even my own family, you know? And we made this charity with the hopes of being able to help them. And we did this a few years ago, literally knowing nothing about nonprofits, nothing about activism, nothing. We just wanted to help. And we've actually been able to feed over 50,000 people. We've been able to house people over there. We've been able to bring medicine, food, clothes. Like we host food banks in Venezuela. We've been able to build a community of volunteers and people that have helped us so much. And it's been such a blessing to do that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been like a dream come true. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the charity, right? Being able to help out the people directly from where you're from.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, I mean, I can't imagine it, right? So what are some things that we could do to share the word about your charity, and what are some ways we can support?
Yeah, so we actually have an Instagram called Cartos International, and we sort of always host events. Now with COVID, it became a little bit tougher, but
Yeah.
we always host events and fundraisers and even an opportunity to come volunteer. Like we do everything ourselves. It's just my mom and I. So we package everything that we have to send. We go to the shipping center and make these boxes for people. Like everything is hands-on. So if anybody's interested in volunteering with us or coming to even lend just your hand or your time, that's also a possibility as well.
I heard that, opportunities.
Yeah.
So speaking of like working and support, like being in support of something, as an actress, we always hear that people will go in between like working a regular job or, you know, fully focusing on the craft. What's your thoughts on that? Like, should people have a 9-to-5 or a day job to fund and sponsor them being an actress?
I think at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do.
Yep.
If you need to eat and you need to pay rent and you need a bed to sleep in and you got to work a 9-to-5 job to be able to achieve that so you can have peace of mind, so you can be a better creative, that's what you have to do. And it just has to be one of those things where as much effort as you're putting into that job, that's 10 times more effort you have to put into your craft.
Yeah.
And I think being disciplined and having a consistent routine and being able to split your time properly is going to eventually take you to excel.
Yeah. What were some areas or neighborhoods that you were looking at when you first moved out here? I know you said you stayed with family.
Yeah.
But as you thought about like what neighborhood or what arena I needed to be in, what are some that you would recommend for somebody who's like moving out here?
So when I first came out here, I knew nothing about LA or locations or anything. The library we were crashing in was in Redondo Beach.
Gotcha.
So it was a little out of the way, and we didn't have a car. We didn't have money for Uber. We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So it depends on what situation you're coming here in.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, driving in LA is a tough thing, which everybody that lives here, I'm assuming, can agree with this. So if you come here and you have to Uber a lot, or you have to take the bus, or you have to take public transportation, then I would say it would be better to be closer to things.
Yeah.
One thing I will say though, now the industry has changed so much after COVID. Now a lot of things happen on Zoom. I mean, I can't remember when's the last time I went in for an audition in person.
Oh, wow.
And I think that also allows people the freedom to be able to live anywhere. I have friends that have even left LA because they're like, I don't need to be here anymore. Because if I need to have an audition, if I need to do a self-tape, I can just do it from home. So I think the current state in which our industry is in right now helps us navigate it more freely, which is a blessing, kind of. A blessing in disguise, I will say.
So if you had to recommend 5 things that someone, a young aspiring actress back in DR should purchase or buy, them or their parents, like what are those 5 things?
Ooh, okay, let me think. I like this question. I would say it can be anything. It can be...
Yeah, it can be anything.
I would say acting classes.
Okay.
That's definitely something they should do.
Any virtual ones that you recommend?
I have been training with Sarah Mornell at Mornell Studios, and they are incredible. So that's always going to be my recommendation because I've learned so much from them. Okay. Mornell Studios. I would say acting classes. I would say invest in yourself in any way that you can, which I think that can be like a purchase in a sense, whether that is paying for dance classes, paying to learn a new language, paying to try a new thing. Like, I feel like as creatives, we should always be able to tap into our creativity in any way that we can, whether that's stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new, playing an instrument, like anything. Also, invest in, this is going to sound simple, but a journal. Writing is the most beautiful way to express yourself. I've learned so much about myself through journaling, and it's also a creative outlet as well.
Absolutely.
And actually, in the book that I'm reading right now, they recommend writing every single morning, which I started doing. And not only was I able to tap into myself and my subconscious mind, but also I've learned things that I didn't even know were in my brain, just because you're freely writing and you can learn so much about yourself. And yeah, I feel like just investing in yourself is the biggest thing. At the end of the day, you are your own investment. Like, everything that you invest back into yourself will help you be a better artist.
Yeah. Did you have a diary as a kid?
I did.
I'm just kidding. Anytime people say, you should journal right now, I'm like, you had a diary as a kid, huh?
I had a Hello Kitty diary as a kid.
Hey, Hello Kitty, like hello industry, hello actress.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. So I have a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you went to that first audition, what was that moment like? Did you feel like, hey, I prepared for this already because I started out so early? But when you got to LA, like, what was that first audition moment like?
It was the sigh. It was completely different than anything I thought I prepared myself for.
Got you.
It probably didn't help that I was coming from a different country and culture, and the industry in my country is very different from the industry here.
Okay.
But I just remember going in and like seeing all these people and being so nervous and making sure that I had my sides down and being like, what am I doing here? Questioning my whole entire existence. It was a lot. But at the end of the day, after you just go in the room and you like tell your truth and you speak your truth and you get to do what you love, you just come out of there and you're like, I did it. Yay. Yeah. But it was definitely took me a while to navigate around, especially because I would always hear casting directors like, oh, she has to work on her accent, or oh, she said this word weird, or oh, she can't come in for this role because we're looking for a white girl, or oh, she has boobs and she's supposed to be playing a 15-year-old. Like, it was just always comments like that. And I'm like, this is who I am. I am a Dominican girl. Yeah. This is my body. This is my language. This is my identity. Yeah. And I had to really grow into learning that my identity is my superpower. And I'm going to prove all of you wrong.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to prove all of you that we all deserve to be here. Like, we all deserve to be leading roles in films. We all deserve to be leading roles in TV. Like, it doesn't matter what our skin color is. It doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter what language I speak. We all deserve to be here. Yeah. And I'm going to show all those casting directors that it's the truth.
What are some affirmations? Like, if you could look at the camera and you're talking to a young actress, aspiring Black, Latina actress who's trying to get into the industry. She just heard, those comments, right? Like, we don't understand you, you don't speak, we're not looking for you, etc. What are some of the words you would directly share with her?
I would say stay on the path of your passion. Continue to work hard. Create a routine for yourself. For me, one of the biggest things that helped me was creating a morning routine that would set me up for the rest of my day. Whether that's sitting in meditation, whether that's sitting in prayer, whether that's just listening to your favorite song. Anything that can inspire you in the beginning of your day is going to make a huge impact on the rest of your day. Keep positive people around you. Keep good influences around you. Make sure that you work on yourself and on your craft every single day. You have to work 10 times harder than anybody else out there. And stay positive. Pray, take your acting classes, take your classes that make you a better artist, a better creative. And yeah, that's pretty much what I would say.
Absolutely. So everybody stay positive. We are now opening the floor for the audience questions. So I think we have some questions here.
Hey.
Hi.
You talked a lot about your challenges, and I really love that, and I appreciate that. Can you share some of your internal moments of how you were experiencing those challenges with all the no's and all the rejections? Like, what did it look like when you left that audition and you went home? Like, how did that look for you?
I would say that we unfortunately are in an industry and a career where we get the most no's. We get the most rejection out of anything out there. Like, you're constantly being rejected for auditions. You're constantly being told that you're not right for the part. And the way that kind of looked like for me was I really just had to learn to step into myself, to step into my strength, and to not allow those outside opinions to deviate me from what I really wanted to do. At the end of the day, you just have to stay like tunnel vision focused on what you want. And you are going to have those days where you feel worthless. You're going to have those days where you feel like you don't have value. You're going to have those days where you feel like, why am I doing this? But you just have to stay consistently reminding yourself, why am I here? And that's why, like, you have to be doing this for the right reasons. There's people out here that are doing this for fame. There's people out there that are doing this for money. You have to be doing this for the right reasons, because that's what's truly going to drive you. If you want to tell stories, if you want to stay on a path where you're sharing something about yourself, like it just depends on what you want. But you have to stay consistent with what your goal is, and not allow anybody to deviate you from it. And if you do have bad days, because we're all human beings, like, I'm not saying everything is perfect and the road does not look perfect. But if you are going to have bad days, just make sure you have the tools to get you out of that eventually, so you don't dwell in it. Whether that's spiritual tools, whether that's people around you, whether that's the company you keep, a book you read, an affirmation or a podcast you hear. And that's what helps me.
Yeah. I think we got another question. Yep.
Hi, Miss Tosta. Really quick. As a creative, I'm sure you take losses like a lot of creatives do. At your lowest moment, what do you tell yourself to keep going? And what advice would you have for somebody who may be at that brink of wanting to quit, but deciding to push forward anyway? How would you get them to do that?
It kind of goes hand in hand with what I was telling her. I think that you have to stay really, really focused on why you're doing this. You have to understand that as creatives, we're put here for a purpose. We have a purpose. You have a purpose. So just continue to remind yourself of that purpose. If you have a talent, if you have a gift, that's a gift from God. That's something God put in you and instilled in you to share with the world. So just continue to remind yourself of that. And if you have those low moments, just make sure that you do things that will help you get out of it. And we're human beings, so we are going to have bad moments. We're going to have those low times, like you said. But you just have to keep the right energy around you, and keep the right routine, and just stay disciplined, and then you'll be able to achieve anything. I mean, I came here with nothing. I didn't speak English. I didn't have money. I didn't have anything. And I'm here. I'm blessed to be at the place that I am today. So if I was able to do it, if this little brown Dominican girl was able to do it, you are able to do it too. I promise you.
Absolutely. I think we are wrapping on questions. Do you have any other questions? I'm sorry, I thought I saw another hand.
Actually, I have a
Saw
question.
another hand. Okay.
First of all, y'all are amazing. So congratulations on that. Secondly, what advice on your journey that you still carry with you today, and then some of the worst advice that you may have gotten, but you were like, I need to throw that away. You ain't got to name no names. And just,
You're trying to get me in trouble?
No. Some advice that, like, the students, the people that are watching, that they can take heed. You're like, no, that's good. I'm going to keep that. So what was that?
I would say that one of the best advices, I feel like I've been blessed to have a lot of good advice I've gotten throughout the years. Yeah. But I would say something that really stuck with me was somebody once told me that I should use what people tell me are my flaws and imperfections as my strength. And once I started seeing that way, I was like, wait a second. Whoa, it totally changed in my mind. I was like, you're right. I should use my flaws and imperfections that people in the industry are telling me that are wrong as my strength, because that's what makes me different. Yeah. That's what makes you yourself. Like being vulnerable, being able to show that your quote unquote weaknesses, even though I don't like that word because they're not weaknesses, they're strengths at the end of the day. Yeah. But being able to strengthen that and work on that and use that as my outlet, that was beautiful advice, especially as a creative, because you're able to tap into parts of yourself that you think are wrong or you think are bad, and they're not. They make you who you are. Yeah.
I mean, where can we see you next? Where can the audience and everybody who's on this path expect to see you next?
I'm on a show called Mayans MC on FX. We've been doing 4 seasons so far, and we're about to start working on season 5. So, yeah. So, if you, thank you. If you want to go watch the 4 seasons, they're on Hulu, as well as Party of Five is also on Hulu. and expect to see season 5 soon.
Perfect. I mean, what are you waiting on? Go check out the season. And that's the wrap. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us
This
today.
was amazing. Thank you so much for this space. It was so beautiful, and I was so honored to be here. So thank you.
Absolutely. I'm glad. I know, we cut the cheek.
I love it when you couscous. Afro-Tighty, then discuss, her rapper, messy colors, na 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 na, never become business. I love Afro-Tighty, then discuss, her rapper, messy colors, na 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 na, never become business. I love it when you couscous, love it when you couscous, love it when you couscous, 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 love it, love it, love it, love it.